Eileen, fellow classmates, Aaron, Jennifer, and I would like to present to you our video on O'Toole's Transport Limited. I will be giving you all a brief insight into the market in which this family-run business operates, followed by the introduction to the firm itself. Aaron will then talk about the strengths and weaknesses, followed by Jennifer with the opportunities, threats, and a short conclusion. We hope you enjoy. O'Toole's Transport Limited operates in cold chain logistics. This involves the transportation of temperature-sensitive products along the supply chain. This is done by the use of thermal and refrigerated packaging methods and various logistical planning to ensure the protection of the products within these shipments. There are a multitude of ways in which cold chain products can be transported, such as refrigerated trucks, rail cars, cargo ships, reefers, and air cargo. O'Toole's operate in refrigerated trucks and trailers. The importance of cold chain logistics in the market. These companies are vital in today's global market. The specialization of agricultural functions have enabled the transportation of temperature-sensitive food produce to distant markets. It also enables the transportation of vital vaccines and pharmaceuticals across the globe, and we can see how important this is in the current COVID-19 global pandemic. It also supports production and economies of scale in distribution. This involves large cold storage facilities serving regional supermarkets and shops. It also supports the timely distribution of perishable goods to local grocery stores and restaurants. Financial trends in the sector. The global cold chain logistics market was valued at just under $160,000 million in 2018 and is expected to reach just under $590,000 million by 2026. Asia Pacific has accounted for the highest share in the cold chain market in 2019 and is expected to maintain its lead throughout the predicted period. Factors such as increase in the number of refrigerated warehouses and processed food sector, as well as the growth in pharmaceutical sector, will all be contributing factors in this financial growth. RFID technologies for cold chain distribution will also have a great impact. Factors such as the lack of standardization and high operational costs have the ability to restrain the market growth. Main players in the sector in Ireland. We have O'Toole's Transport Limited, who will be outlined later in this presentation, Cold Speed Logistics, who are based in Blanchardstown, C&M Cold Stores, based in Monaghan, Cold Move Limited, who operate out of offices in Dublin and Galway. Recent developments in the sector. The cold chain logistics market for the pharmaceutical industry is expected to grow by approximately 9.48 billion, progressing at a compound annual growth rate of over 10% in the coming years. The need to transport temperature-sensitive pharmaceuticals is one of the major factors propelling this growth, especially in the current COVID-19 pandemic. Sophisticated barcodes, RFID sensors, and blockchain are a mix of technologies that help to bring all the aspects of transport and logistics together. These technologies are user-friendly and have easy-to-read dashboards and are positively impacting on cold chain operations. I'm now going to give you an introduction to O'Toole's Transport Limited. O'Toole's Transport Limited is an award-winning family-owned food logistics company established in 1996 in Galway. Today, they are one of the leading food logistics and transport companies in Europe. They operate a modern fleet of specialised vehicles out of their BRC accredited depots in Galway, Dublin, Waterford and Glasgow. Their primary business is transporting temperature-controlled food across Ireland, the UK and the rest of Europe. The main aim of this company is to strive to employ the brightest people that can help them to deliver their customer-focused solutions. Services offered by O'Toole's Transport. O'Toole's Transport offer a wide range of services within different aspects of the sector. They offer Ireland and UK-wide food and drink transport. They provide a scalable and flexible transport solution for manufacturers and exporters. They work with companies such as Coca-Cola, Glenpatrick Spring Water, Musgraves and Claddagh Minerals. They offer a complete range of logistics solutions in the seafood industry in Ireland and the UK. O'Toole's Transport are one of the largest providers of transportation in this valuable sector. Their specialist fleet of multi-temp vehicles collect products daily from all over Ireland and export loads for major markets in Europe. They also offer a BRC accredited logistics solution to food manufacturers and processors that require daily delivery to all major regional distribution centres in Ireland and the UK. Their modern fleet, which includes refrigerated, rigid trucks and trailers, meets the demand of the fast-moving consumer industry. In partnership with John Druid Transport, they operate a top-of-the-range to 20,000 square foot cross-docking and warehousing facility in Glasgow. It has 5 loading bays and parking for up to 30 vehicles. It operates off a 24-hour basis. Geographical markets supplied by O'Toole's Transport Limited. O'Toole's Transport Limited supply to many cities all across Europe, such as Dublin, Glasgow, Bordeaux, Hamburg, Madrid, Milan, and Rome, just to name a few. There are a wide range of well-known companies relying on O'Toole's Transport Limited and their variety of cold chain logistics services. Some of these companies are Centra, Walsh's Mushrooms, Brady Family, UPS, Irish Seafood Producers Group, Coca-Cola, Irish Yogurts Clonakilty, and Lidl. I'm now going to hand you over to Aaron, who's going to take you through the strengths and weaknesses of O'Toole's Transport Limited.
O'Toole's Transport has many strengths, the most predominant strength being its huge capacity to transport goods. Currently, O'Toole's Transport moves 1,000 weekly loads, 5,000 pallets, and operates with about 40,000 square foot in warehousing in cities like Dublin, Galway and Glasgow. Currently, they supply 15 different cities across Europe, ranging from Dublin to Rome. It employs about 165 people and has 95 vehicles with a mean vehicle age of only 4 years old. O'Toole's Transport offers a huge range of services, including food and drink unit loads, international seafood logistics, and regional distribution centres in Ireland and the UK. Another strength that O'Toole's Transport has is how good its reputation is, and how many verifications it has from different transport and distribution associations. O'Toole's Transport has a slogan, equipment, people and trust. Being a family-run business, the company really embodies this slogan and uses its reputation and trust with customers for repeat and new businesses. O'Toole's Transport is verified by different associations named below, for example the Irish Exporters Association and the Irish Road Haulage Association. On top of having a huge capacity to transport goods, it also has a huge fleet with diversified capabilities. O'Toole's Transport has temperature-controlled trucks which would be mainly used for perishable cargoes like food or certain medicines. It could also be used for the COVID-19 AstraZeneca vaccine, which has to be maintained at a certain temperature in order to maintain its efficacy. It also has curtain line trailers which would be predominantly used for dry goods like timbers and textiles, skeletal trailers used for constrained goods, and tank trailers used for bulk liquids and bulk fish processing. Rigid vehicles are also used by O'Toole's Transport, which would be mainly used for multi-drop deliveries in city centres. O'Toole's Transport is not without its weaknesses. The main weakness that I found in O'Toole's Transport is their fleet is very limited to road vehicles only. The problems with road transport include size and weight restrictions that certain countries may have on the vehicles. They are very weather dependent, and traffic conditions can also have a massive effect on delivery times, and certain countries' road networks aren't that good. For example, the road infrastructure in the west of Ireland is very poor, and this can have a negative impact on O'Toole's Transport Company. Having just one mode of transport limits O'Toole's profitability. They have to rely on third-party transport companies to move their cargoes by air or by maritime modes of transport, which proves to be costly for the company and can affect their overall profitability. This also goes for their speed capability. Relying on third parties for parts of their delivery network means that they cannot control how fast their deliveries move as much as they would like to. O'Toole's Transport doesn't offer at-home delivery for online shopping, for example. As we're all aware, the COVID-19 pandemic resulted in an explosion in online shopping, both in Ireland and abroad. An example of this would be the online revenue for online shopping has increased by 2.5 billion as of last August alone. This has resulted in a huge amount of at-home deliveries, and O'Toole's Transport doesn't really offer any of these services, and I feel like this is a major weakness for the company. On top of this, I couldn't find any sort of social media presence for O'Toole's Transport, And as well as this, their advertising seems to be lacking as well. I feel like they could exploit this a little bit better to gain a bigger market share and help market their company better. I will now pass you on to Jen, who will talk about the opportunities and threats and give a conclusion on O'Toole's Transport Company.
Thanks, Aaron. Opportunities and threats to companies are external and cannot be controlled by the company. They can only react to them. One opportunity that is afforded to road hauliers, such as O'Toole Transport, is the new innovations of GPS monitoring and autonomous trucks in the near future. The IRU, which is the International Road Transport Union, surveyed its members and gained a response of over 52% on average, expecting autonomous trucks on our roads within the next 5 to 10 years. The opportunities for O'Toole Transport in this case, by using autonomous trucks, can help them increase their productivity by 50% while simultaneously reducing their costs by 20%. This use of GPS monitoring and autonomous trucks will be greatly beneficial to a company like O'Toole Transport, who have a wide range of geographical operations all around Ireland, the UK and continental Europe. There is also physical innovations and opportunities that O'Toole Transport could capitalise on immediately. This is the use of combi trailers. This is where two 20-foot containers can be transported on one 40-foot trailer. This would further the opportunities for O'Toole Transport to take up cost-saving initiatives, and this would allow them to transport two completely different containers, one full of food and construction materials and the other that would have to be kept separate for hygiene reasons, but still being able to transport both items at the same time. By doing this, time and money is saved, there's the elimination of needing to send two separate trucks, especially when delivery locations are nearby, and congestion on roads is reduced, while still having the same number of goods on the road, which again increases overall savings. COVID and Brexit are separately issues for road hauliers, and there have been instances in which they have combined to cause many implications for hauliers. As Ireland is an island, we are highly dependent on transport in order to move goods, food and pharmaceuticals to and from the island. As many hauliers are trying to avoid difficulties and issues with customs going via the UK land bridge to Europe, they are now opting for new ferry services that have been set up to travel directly to the continent. But this has brought issues and threats in the form of the risk that some bookings are not being honoured so that vital medical supplies can travel between Ireland and the continent, leaving behind other perishable goods such as fresh food, and this is where we see the threat from Brexit and COVID. One of the main service providers for this route is DFTS, which provides ferry crossings from Rosslare to Dunkirk. And while this will take 24 hours, which is longer than the land bridge route, one benefit is that drivers can take their rest time for their tachograph while on the ship and be ready to drive once they reach the continent. But with many of the 150,000 trucks that traditionally cross the land bridge now moving to boats, it is highly likely that some must be left behind to allow emergency medicines to board. And this is before holidaymakers return to ferries, which again would cause more complications. Since establishing these services, Rosslare has seen an increase in freight traffic by 500% in the first 2 weeks of January 2021 compared to the same time last year. Another major threat to O'Toole Transport is CO2 emissions. If their truck is not up to standard, they can be fined for entering certain areas of cities or not allowed access to them at all. A notable city for this is London, where there are areas of the city that HGVs, such as ones weighing over 5 tonnes, are charged £100 per day. This would be a major threat to O'Toole Transport in terms of additional charges to the company. Another city is Milan, where the vehicles entering certain areas of the city must meet the required minimum emission standard and that diesel engines have the particulate fuel filter. Not only can these fines increase costs for O'Toole Transport, but so can having vehicles that are not properly maintained lead to increased costs, and that is why it's important for regular and preventative maintenance to take place in order to avoid these additional costs. There are many ways that companies such as O'Toole Transport can help reduce emissions, and some of them are outlined here on the right hand of your screen. In conclusion, we can see that O'Toole Transport has large-scale operations spanning across Ireland, the UK and Europe. In order for them to continue to grow and be successful in this market and have successful relationships with its partners, it needs to continue to be aware of its strengths and increase them, try to improve on areas of weakness, identify and capitalise on opportunities afforded, and lastly, identifying threats to their business and working on solutions to avoid these. By doing all this, O'Toole Transport can continue and strive to be leaders in the road haulage industry. Thank you for listening to our presentation.